On one sunny morning in New Mexico, 11-year-old Polly waits for her mother to pick her up after class. After what feels like hours, a car finally pulls up to the curb. Behind the wheel is her estranged father, Nate, a man she hasn't seen in years because he had been behind bars for robbery and street fighting. Shocked, Polly asks where her mother is and whether Nate is even allowed to be here. Nate replies calmly that he got out of jail this morning and urges her to get in the car. Reluctantly, Polly climbs inside. Almost immediately, she notices something is wrong. The car is hot-wired and the window is smashed. Realizing it's stolen, she nervously asks again if something happened to her mom. Nate assures her that nothing bad has happened and promises she doesn't need to be afraid of him, insisting he isn't a monster. Still uneasy, Polly spots a police cruiser waiting at the light nearby. She thinks about getting out, but Nate sternly warns her to stay put. By nightfall, Nate pulls into a parking lot a short distance from a rundown motel, explaining that he doesn't want the police or anyone else tracking them. Polly notices her suitcase and realizes Nate is also wearing her stepfather Tom's jacket. She asks him about it, but he says nothing. At the motel, Nate checks them into a room and buys Polly a bag of chips from the vending machine. Once inside the room, he begins calling old friends, asking for help with looking after Polly, but each one refuses, frustrated, and throws the phone down. Trying to calm him, Polly suggests a game. She asks him to close his eyes and guess the flavor of the chips. Nate says barbecue. Later, he decides to change Polly's appearance by cutting and bleaching her hair so she won't be recognized. When Polly asks if he has done this before, Nate confidently says, plenty of times, but his clumsy hands quickly give him away. In the end, though, Polly finds that she actually likes her new style.
3.
I love this.
Then Nate shows her a few self-defense moves, telling her that if anyone ever tries to hurt her, she should strike hard at the back of the head and run. Polly hesitates, saying she isn't strong enough. You gotta feel weak to be strong, Nate explains. That's what my brother Nick always said. Then his tone darkens. He tells her to watch out for men with blue lightning tattoos, people he angered while in prison. To help her practice, he tells Polly to imagine that the enemy has hurt her teddy bear. With that image in mind, she swings with all her strength, channeling her anger into the blow. Later that night, while Nate sleeps, Polly quietly switches on the news channel. Her heart sinks as the screen shows her own home, surrounded by flashing lights and crime scene tape. The reporter announces that her mother and stepfather, Tom, have been murdered. Nate's photo appears next, with the anchor describing him as dangerous and connected to the notorious Aryan Steel Gang, a violent group known for producing and distributing meth. Authorities say they are investigating whether Nate is involved in the murders. The detectives urge citizens to be on the lookout for the 11-year-old girl, Polly. Shattered by the news of her mother's death, Polly slips out of the motel room and walks to a nearby store. She finds a phone and dials the police. When the dispatcher answers, Polly simply says that she saw her house on TV and that her name is Polly. The dispatcher quickly transfers the call to Detective John Park. John's voice comes through, calm but urgent, asking if Polly is hurt. She replies quietly that he wouldn't hurt her, then hesitates before adding that the guys with the blue tattoos might have hurt her mom. John asks her to tell him where she is. Reluctantly, Polly whispers the motel's name, then hangs up. At that moment, Nate shows up, furious, demanding to know what she did. Trembling, Polly pleads that they have to go now. But then the weight of her mother's death crashes over her. She breaks down and sobs, accusing Nate of lying to her about her mom being safe. Nate's face softens and he apologizes. Before he can say more, the wail of sirens cuts through the night. Panic erupts and they bolt from the room, slipping into the shadows just as police swarm the motel. Minutes later, after narrowly escaping, Nate finally stops, out of breath. His voice is low and heavy as he explains that it wasn't him. It was them, the guys with the blue lightning tattoos. They killed her mom because of him, and they won't stop until they kill her too. Polly stares at him, torn between fear and rage. Nate looks at her and continues, saying that if she wants to go to the cops she called, she can, and he won't stop her. Polly stays silent. Nate exhales, almost defeated, then says that she might not know him, but from now on he swears he will tell her the truth. He also adds that he believes her mother's strength is in her now. He hands her the bat.
3.
Moments later, they are back on the road. They arrive at his ex-girlfriend's house. As soon as Charlotte sees him, she slams the door. Nate reminds her that she is alive because of his brother. Reluctantly, she lets him and Polly inside. Charlotte, bewildered, asks Nate why he would kill a member of the Aryan gang. Nate defends himself, saying he did it to earn his freedom. Charlotte points out that now both he and his daughter have a green light on them, meaning the gang is out to kill them. She insists she doesn't want to be involved. However, Nate replies, "You already are, because of Nick." It turns out Nick used to be a foot soldier for the Aryan gang. In the end, Nick gave his life to save Charlotte's. Nate asked for some money to escape the country. Reluctant, Charlotte says she will make a call. Nate then tells Polly he's going to ditch the car. Later, Polly asks Charlotte how she knows Nate. Charlotte smiles faintly and says, "It isn't a kid-friendly story," but she does tell her that Nate really loved Polly's mom. Polly then asks, "My dad loved you more, though." Charlotte replies that she doesn't know. Nate hears everything from the doorway. Meanwhile, Detective John shows his colleague Jimmy photos of Chuck Hollington, a member of the Aryan Steel gang who was murdered in prison. John points out that Chuck was killed 2 weeks before Nate's release, and the guards in the prison also reported that Nate had a falling out with the gang. John concludes that Nate probably has a green light on him now. Jimmy warns him not to dig deeper into the gang and insists they should just focus on finding Nate. John agrees, but adds that if they do catch him, they could use Nate to find the elusive Slabtown, a hub for the gang's meth distribution. Jimmy refuses, saying he has a family, unlike John. When John presses, asking if he's afraid of the so-called God of Slabtown, who is the leader of the Aryan gang that no one has ever seen, Jimmy admits, "I am." John isn't ready to back down. He asks Jimmy who the sheriff in McKinley County is, believing the man might have a lead on Nate, as well as Slabtown's location, which is rumored to be in McKinley. Jimmy gives him the name, Sheriff Hauser. The next morning, Charlotte and Polly are barbecuing outside when Charlotte's friend Felix arrives. He introduces himself, and when he tries lighting the barbecue, Polly notices the blue tattoo. Alarmed, Polly rushes back inside and warns her father, who is in the shower, that the blue tattoo man is here. Felix breaks into the room, and an enraged Nate launches at him, pummeling him to the ground. Betrayed, Nate demands why Charlotte brought Felix. She defends herself, saying that everyone is looking for Nate, and Felix told her that if she didn't choose a side, there would be consequences. She adds, "I can't choose sides in this." Nate yells, "You just did." Nate then orders Felix to call off the green light. Felix shakes his head, saying he can't. Only the God of Slabtown can. Nate accuses him of bluffing, but Felix insists the man is real and has eyes and ears everywhere. He advises Nate to take his daughter's life himself before he does. Nate, furious, burns Felix's face as a warning to the gang.
I said stay inside!
Polly witnesses the entire ordeal. Later, they stop at a restaurant. Nate tries to calculate how many gallons of fuel $91 can buy. Polly chimes in, saying that gas costs $3 a gallon, so they can afford 30 gallons. In conclusion, she says they can travel about 750 miles, not counting other expenses. Nate, pride shining in his eyes, thanks her. Then curious, Polly asks about Charlotte, saying she thought he only loved her mother. Nate admits that he did, a long time ago, when her mother loved him back. Polly casually comments that Charlotte is nice too, and that she loves him. But Nate points out that Charlotte betrayed them and adds that he doesn't deserve love.
We times the 25 by 30.
750 miles.
Not counting food or hotels. Yeah, we are fucked.
Desperate for money, Nate decides to rob the store registers. Before going in, he tells Polly to lock the car doors. She asks for a Snickers bar, and he agrees. Inside the shop, Nate orders the owner to put the money into a bag. Moments later, another customer shows up, and noticing the commotion, pulls out a gun. Outside, Polly slams the horn, distracting the man and giving Nate the split second he needs to escape, but not before being shot in the leg. Despite the wound, Nate manages to get back to the car, and they speed away.
You got it?
A police cruiser spots them and gives chase. Nate hands the Snickers bar to Polly as the sirens close in. After a tense pursuit, Nate manages to shake off the cop, though Polly notices the blood spreading from his wound. Nate pulls into a trucker's chapel, where Polly helps bandage his leg. To fill the silence, Nate jokes that it's his first time in a church. Polly replies, "Me too." She tells him that when she was in first grade, her teacher asked the class to draw a family portrait. Hating the idea, she told her teacher she was Jewish. The teacher called her mother, who later took Polly to the temple. Her mother told her she could practice any religion she wanted, but it was there that Polly realized she didn't want to be Jewish, or anything at all. Nate quietly admits he feels the same. Later, Polly goes outside to throw away the bloodied rags. Suddenly, a dirty cop on the Aryan gang's payroll emerges and tries to shoot her. Polly hides in terror. Nate rushes out to protect her, and in the struggle, the cop's gun falls to the ground. Polly seizes it and fires at the man. Nate gently asks her to hand over the weapon. He tells her to go back inside while he deals with the man. When Nate returns to the chapel, he tells a shaken Polly that the man ran away. Looking her in the eyes, he tells her he never wants to see her pull the trigger again. Polly breaks down, sobbing. Nate comforts her, promising that from now on she can leave the shooting to him. "You are a good thing, Polly," he says softly, "and I don't want good things ruined."
Give me the gun. It's okay. It's okay. Go inside. It's okay. I'm coming. It's okay. Come on.
The next day, John reaches Trucker's Chapel in McKinley. He recalls his earlier phone call with Sheriff Hauser when he asked if there had been any sightings of Nate and Polly in his jurisdiction. Hauser said no and added that he couldn't find any information on Slabtown. John also mentioned that shots had been fired at Trucker's Chapel near his precinct last night, but Hauser insisted it was a false alarm and that he had spoken with the officer involved this morning. John calls his station to track down Mitchell King's cruiser. After getting the location, John finds the car, then spots Nate and Polly. John drives toward them, steps out, and draws his gun. He introduces himself, saying he just wants to talk and that he isn't part of the Aryan gang. Still, Nate doesn't trust him. John presses, explaining that he only wants to help call off the green light. John lists Nate's petty crimes, robbery, street fighting, and adds that Nate also allegedly killed his ex. Polly quickly interrupts, saying he didn't. John admits he doesn't blame Nate for taking protection from the gang inside prison, since he would have done the same. He sums it up. Nate tried to cut ties with the gang, and in return, they killed his wife. John then offers Nate a deal. He can take him to jail, or he can help him bring down the Slabtown God, who is none other than Sheriff Hauser. Nate scoffs, saying, "You haven't got the guts to call it in." John admits he is afraid, since Hauser has nearly everyone in his pocket. Nate is stunned that John would use him as bait to capture Hauser, but John replies flatly, "I am just exploiting the situation here." Nate warns him, "Chuck tried to exploit me, and see where he is." John reassures him that if he takes down Hauser, he'll make sure Nate and Polly escape the country. Meanwhile, at the Slabtown, Hauser enters a trailer where a rival gang member is tied up for trying to sell drugs in their territory. Without hesitation, Hauser slices open the man's stomach, knowing that's where the drugs are hidden. Back with Nate, Polly suggests they should run, but Nate somberly explains there's no running from a green light. She accuses John of being a bad cop, but Nate replies that even if he is, he will do right by her. Then Nate asks Polly to tell him about herself, like who she wants to become when she grows up. After thinking, Polly says she wants to be a dancer. She asks her father what he wanted to be. Nate admits he never stopped to think about it, blindly following his brother everywhere, but assures her she's smarter than he was.
Tell me, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know. Growing up sucks.
The next morning, John tells Nate the address of Slabtown and shows him the new passports prepared for him and Polly once the job is done. Nate quietly tells John to take care of Polly in case he doesn't return, but John reassures him he'll make it back. Nate simply says, "Keep her safe." John gives his word. Nate hugs his daughter tightly and tells her to be safe. Polly makes him promise to return, and he does. With that, he bids her goodbye and leaves. Left behind, John tries to make small talk with Polly, but she's angry and storms off to the bathroom, slamming the door. A knock suddenly comes at the door. John quickly tells Polly to stay inside. He opens it to find Jimmy, who suspects John has found Nate and Polly, but then the truth comes out. Jimmy is secretly tied to the Aryan gang. Inside the bathroom, Polly makes a noise, giving John the distraction he needs. He takes down Jimmy. Once the fight ends, he tells Polly to get ready. An hour later, Nate arrives at Slabtown, where gang members quickly notice him. He runs inside a trailer, but they surround him from all sides. Eventually, they capture him and string him up. Hauser demands to know about John and who he has been talking to. Nate insists he doesn't know. Hauser then threatens to kill Polly if Nate doesn't give him answers. Nate, defiant, vows that he'll kill Hauser instead. Suddenly, gunshots erupt outside. Police have surrounded the compound, and leading them is John. In the chaos, Polly slips out of the car, desperate to find her father. She discovers a trailer guarded by a dog. Thinking quickly, she climbs the fence and throws her beloved teddy bear to distract it. With the dog occupied, she runs inside. Inside, she finds her father tied up. She hurriedly helps him down with a metal rod. At that moment, Hauser bursts in. He fires at Nate, but Polly lunges at him, trying to knock him down. The attempt fails, and Hauser seizes her, dragging her outside as a bargaining chip. The police hesitate, forced to back off. Moments later, Nate comes up behind Hauser and stabs him. He tells Polly to turn around. Then the officers open fire on Hauser, one stray bullet striking Nate, killing him instantly. Polly collapses in tears.
In the hallway's cold and hollow gleam, a silent scream, a shattered dream. Books and fists, their laughter stings, a fragile heart bound by their strings. At home the echoes louder still, a crueler world that breaks the will. Family faces etched with pain, in shadows deep the tears remain. But even glass, when pressure grows, cuts sharper than the winter snows. In silent rage, a fire was born, a soul now twisted, bruised and torn.
In the days that follow, John arranges for her placement in a foster home. Days later, at the foster home, John promises Polly that she can call him if she ever needs anything before leaving. Polly meets her foster siblings. They invite her to join them. At first reluctant, she eventually begins to dance with them, slowly warming up. She feels a small flicker of joy again, though the trauma of losing her parents and witnessing violence still lingers deep in her heart.
Lock a door, hidden blade, the plans were drawn, the price was paid. Through classroom walls the whispers spread,